The King Charles IX planned a big, fancy, but terrible wedding in 1572 for his sister. Soon, the streets of Paris were full of guests. They did not know the wedding was actually a trap. 2 years after this slaughter began, the king died. He was still tormented by guilt over the horrible things he had done. His terrible choice made everything collapse around him. Charles Maximilian was born in 1550. He was never meant to be king, but his older brother died, and then his father, King Henry II, died in 1559. His next older brother, Francis II, also died quickly. So, Charles became king at only 10 years old. He took the throne during a raging battle between two religions in France. Since Charles was too young to rule alone, his mother, the famous Catherine de Medici, took all the power. She was smart and obsessed with staying in control. She taught her son to obey. Some historians wrote that Charles feared his mother greatly. Charles saw Catholic leaders heartlessly execute hundreds of Protestants, Huguenots. The Huguenots also saw Charles as a target and even tried to kidnap him. 13, Charles declared himself old enough to rule, but he was easily influenced. His nature made him the perfect tool for others to use for terrible decisions. Since the wars cost too much money, Charles made a new peace plan. The plan was a marriage between his Catholic sister and the Huguenot leader. This was supposed to seal the peace, but his mother and Charles planned it as a way to lure the Protestant leaders to Paris to wipe them out. The Protestant leader, Gaspard de Coligny, was gaining too much influence over Charles. Catherine saw Coligny as a direct threat. So on August 23rd, Catherine pressed the trembling Charles. He did not want to sign the death warrant, but Catherine insisted, telling him it's now or never, either them or you. The initial order was limited, precise, surgical strike to eliminate only Coligny and a few dozen Protestant leaders in Paris. At midnight, the bells of the church of Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois rang, the signal. Coligny was murdered in his bed, and his body was thrown out the window, but the operation turned instantly into a massive bloodbath. Strict Catholic Parisians, filled with pure hatred for Protestants, joined the mayhem. The king's limited order had unleashed hell. Bodies piled up and were tossed straight into the Seine. The slaughter, known as the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre, spread across the kingdom. Charles's mental health collapsed immediately. He struggled between bragging about the bloodshed and saying he could still hear the screams of the Protestants. His guilt compounded his failing physical health. His body began to waste away. At just 23 years old, King Charles IX died. He was remembered not as a tyrant, but as a tragic puppet.